Lisa, all of you are here because you have happened to have been in a disaster of one kind or another, and all of you have developed some emotional problems as a result of it. Some people do, and you are one of them. And if you keep on silent or crying, we will never know what happened, and we will never be able to help you. I would like you really to encourage you to start talking and tell us what has happened.
2 summers ago, we were at the beach, and I was there with my husband Al and our 2 children, and we had a hurricane warning. And except it got very bad.
For Lisa Oliver and her family, a late summer vacation at the beach began with every hope for a wonderfully relaxing week. But suddenly, in the wild pounding of hurricane winds and rains, that bright hope turned into a tragedy of the loss of 2 small children. For parents, the agony of losing children is beyond anything describable. But this agony is increased tenfold when parents blame themselves entirely for the loss. Often the fact that the tragedy was caused by a natural disaster over which they had absolutely no control cannot soothe their minds. They internalize their problems. A normal existence becomes impossible.
Was anyone living in the house?
Yes, and there was Oliver boy and his wife and 2 little children. The little children, they got drowned.
It's indeed very tragic. I can understand, how you feel. And
No, you can't, because it was my fault. Because I wanted to stay. Al didn't want to stay. I wanted to stay. I wanted to see that hurricane. And I don't have any more children. I was selfish. I didn't think of my children. I thought of...
You have made a mistake, but you could not have predicted of what would happen when you made it. People do make mistakes. But I think you are making another mistake right now. You are holding it all in. You are not talking about it to Al, and even maybe to other people. And really, that's why you are here. We want you to talk. We want you to talk about it and tell us how you feel.
In disasters, people very often are confronted by unexpected situations which may not affect them physically, but may affect them emotionally.
When it happened,
These emotional effects vary in intensity from minor discomfort to severe anxiety. Today, more attention is being given to people's emotional reactions to emergency situations. Mental health professionals working with individuals or groups encourage people to share their experiences. This is the vital first step in helping these people understand why they feel as they do. The vital first step in relieving an invisible but very real hurt.
You see, you have to make a decision. And the decision is, do you want to stay the way you are? Or really, do you want to start again, building up the trust you had in each other and the love that you have for each other? And tell us about yourself. What brought you here?
I go to school out of state. When I heard over the radio that there had been an earthquake in my hometown,
Yes.
I called right away and couldn't get through for 2 days. And there was nothing I could do. My mother works in the hospital, and it collapsed around her. I thought there was a good chance that my mother and my sister could have been killed, and the things that go through your mind, and I just realized how much I love them, and what would I do without them, and so I decided to go home to be with them.
People not directly caught up in a disaster can nevertheless be affected emotionally by it. People far away from a disaster, people whose friends or relatives are caught up in that disaster, can feel great anxiety because of their inability to help. Even though they may realize that their presence would have made little difference, they are unable to escape the feeling that they should have been nearby to share problems and dangers with their loved ones.
It's all right, it's okay.
But there seems to be some problem with this. Why are you here? What brought you here?
Well, my mother. See, I withdrew from school for a while.
Are you going back?
When it just depends on how I feel. Right now, I don't want to go back to school. I just don't have any desire to be there. I want to be with my family.
The sister took care of your mother in the disaster, but you were away, you couldn't do that. So now you want to be the super caretaker and take care of your mother.
I just feel that, make things a little, I don't know, every time I'm away from them, I can't, every time, when I'm not with my sister or my mother, I just think,
It's really a very good feeling to be always able to be of help. Sometimes it's not quite possible, is it?
Well, I wasn't of any help at all.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, you were safe at the time in which your mother was in danger.
Exactly.
It just happened that you were safe at that moment. I'm wondering, who's going to take care of you?
What do you mean?
What I mean that at this time, you are still very young, and you are the student, you are the child, the older child, but you are in the family, and you want to take care of your mother. Don't you want somebody to take care of you?
To take care of me?
That's right.
Well, nothing's happened. Well, I guess that's why I'm here.
Yes, I think so. Because you really would like somebody to take care of you, but you feel so guilty about it, as if this was unnatural on your part. Now you want to be the still super caretaker and take care of mother instead. I wonder, is it really necessary?
Well, it's just how I feel.
Chuck, you heard what Anne said. Is it something like this that happened to you?
Well, apparently, I have some of the same kinds of feelings. I happen to have been on a camping trip with my son, and, you know, we are very close. Scott and I have done many things together. We go to movies together, play ball together. We're very, very close, and we were planning this camping trip for quite a while. And so we got up into the woods, and suddenly there we were in the middle of this forest fire.
Even people who handle emergency situations with a great deal of assurance may still suffer emotional stress afterward. Often they find themselves dwelling on what might have happened to themselves or others. Even though they escape physically unharmed, they may still experience persistent feelings of anxiety due to the event of having been thrust into a frightening situation over which they have no control.
As a matter of fact, from what you are telling me, you did a terrific job, not only preparing for the trip, but actually saving yourself, and yet you feel so bad and so guilty about it. Why? What happened?
Well, I still look back on the possibility of Scott perishing in that fire.
But he didn't.
A couple of times I ran ahead of him and was very selfish in my actions. I didn't watch for him. And as I look back on that, that could have been the danger, that could have been the turning point in the loss of Scott.
Do you know what I think you are saying or doing? From what you describe about yourself and, you know, your son, you were always on this big white horse, and you were always the perfect father. You were doing everything right, and nothing has happened, and suddenly you are off that horse. And then you are saying to yourself, gee, I'm human. And you are saying to yourself, that's bad. is it? And I think what has happened is that he was always the perfect father, and now suddenly he isn't, because he has maybe made a mistake, which I don't think he did. Maybe he endangered his son if he didn't do it on purpose with premeditation.
No, none of us did.
Of course not. How about that? You suddenly see that yourself, don't you? I know how it feels because, you know, I work at the San Fernando Valley Child Guidance Clinic, and in 1971 we went through the earthquake.
People should, of course, prepare themselves as thoroughly as possible for emergency situations. The more thoroughly people are prepared, the more realistically they will react in an emergency. Emergencies place an enormous emotional stress on people. Even those who deal adequately with day-to-day situations may find themselves temporarily unable to cope with a crisis generated by exposure to a major natural disaster or other emergency event. For those who cannot cope with these frightening experiences, a new recognition of their problems has recently emerged. And along with that recognition, the techniques available to the mental health professional can help. This help begins with sharing, not bottling up deeply felt personal emotions. Most people have relatives or friends, a minister or a doctor who will listen to and understand concerns and fears engendered by an emergency. Spoken, these concerns and fears tend to shrink. Locked inside, they may grow. But if sharing problems is not sufficient, help from a private doctor or local mental health center should be sought. For as surely as a broken leg must be set, emotional trauma caused by exposure to emergency situations must be attended to.
You know, we have really understood today, I believe, how talking together about what has happened, particularly in disasters or in any crisis, can help people. I just wish that those people who really do develop emotional problems following a disaster or following a crisis could seek some help like you did. That was really very good, and I'm glad you came, and I hope really that this session helped all of you.
I feel a bit better.
Very good.
At least it's a start.
Good.